on.
Devastating conditions.
We're live on Facebook as well. I just got a Periscope update. All right, copy. I need to get the name of those buildings down there. I'm working on it right now.
This is not Santa Ana.
No, it's
All right, they want to Santa Ana us? No. Us down here, we know about Santa Ana. This is not Santa Ana. It's been foggy, it's been misty, it's been cloudy. No, this is not fire. This is, they are burning us out. Indeed, they are burning us out. 100%. Everybody down here knows it. All right, except this idiot inside the helicopter. I'm in the helicopter. I'm reporting a high winds. No.
Yes. Anytime you take it.
What?
No, I'm always ready.
No, they're burning us out. Okay? They're hitting us with these new style weapons. Okay? Modern weapons. Where they can kind of sneak around, you know what I mean? Oh, high winds and all this other stuff. No.
Really? Because I'm getting that as a land.
They already have this scheduled for elimination, according to the UN Agenda 21, ... Alright? So they just hit us with a quick dew blast.
What's the name of the road?
Directed energy weapon blast. Problem reaction solution. They already have it slated to be annihilated. Alright? So all you rest assured that this is definitely an attack from the New World Order.
So I'm driving down the street in my hometown of Modesto, and here's what I see on a billboard. Wildfire embers can travel over 1 mile. And look, the end of the sign looks like it's been burned for extra added effect. So apparently wildfire embers can travel over 1 mile. Yes, farther than 1 mile. So 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, fucking 100 miles, infinity miles. Because that would also be over 1 mile. So apparently wildfire embers can travel an unlimited distance. Because that would definitely be over 1 mile. Wildfire embers from here in California could jump across the Pacific Ocean and land in fucking Japan. That would be over 1 mile. Everybody worldwide better beware, because the wildfire embers are fucking coming for you.
Again, we are hearing that people are trapped in Camarillo Springs Park with Ventura Sheriff's deputies. It's also covering the fire dubbed the Camp Fire. Lake Oroville State Recreation Area has been impacted by that fire. Lime Saddle Campground and Marina is closed and has been evacuated due to the fire and air quality. That's the latest from California State Parks. KPTV, Fox 11 Los Angeles, our sister station, continuing to tweet and provide all these aerials and retweets. Total Traffic LA reporting closed in Camarillo on US 101 southbound at Pleasant Valley Road. We have since learned that both directions of the 101 are closed now. Hill brush fire upgraded to a second alarm with more than 165 firefighters on scene, 8 air tankers on order for what was a 100-acre brush fire. Mandatory evacuations issued for Camarillo Springs area. We have since learned, and that first tweet about how it was a 100-acre brush fire was an hour ago. We have since learned that the fire is now 8 to 10,000 acres. You're watching News Now, part of Fox 10 Phoenix.
And to help you to understand why. Okay, now, as I mentioned in my last video, this is a massive attack on the American citizens.
Megan has been saying 21 mile per hour gusts, and that definitely looks to be the case.
Ginny showed us the windmill that was blowing at a high rate of speed, and Ginny's trying to put this out with her feet, stomping on this.
We just want to make sure that Ginny's safe.
Absolutely.
This can catch and suddenly, rapidly, just to start to explode.
I believe I'm one street north of all of you, and there's embers starting to fly. This is right below my feet. There's a guy out here just a little while ago trying to put these wood chips that they're flaring up again. Check out this windmill here at this guy's house. It's all over the place. It's pointing all over the place.
On reports of smoke smell. Please only call 911 if you see actual unattended flames. All right, so then at 10 o'clock, we had the police with, 1 o'clock, 1 a.m., we had the police with no sirens, just lights on, not the fire department, telling people door to door that they had to leave. Later we learned that the fire chief and his lieutenant were both off duty that night. And I found that very odd that no backup protocols, apparently, I don't know, were not used or weren't used instead, and that they apparently were out of reach or something. I mean, this just doesn't add up. Now, I can go on and on. I don't want to spend all of our time on the oddities of that night, but you get the picture. There's just more than 1,000 red flags going on here. So from the beginning, there was a total abandonment of the authorities to use the emergency systems. We also had a landline, but with the power out, it didn't work. So immediately I knew that these fires weren't normal. And it had to be I believed it had to be some kind of a military operation, and that's still my belief right now. I started looking up videos of the fires and saw how directed energy weaponry, also called DOOM,
is the EPA, which is the point team to bring about privatization of the water, is now requiring through state policies and local policies additional cost for mitigating fish extinctions, for building aspects to the existing water infrastructure that are unnecessary so that they bankrupt the funds in the local communities, and force the local water agencies to ultimately turn the control of their agencies over to private-public partnerships. So that is the plan. The plan is very similar to the John Perkins, the Confessions of an Economic Hitman. This is what we have occurring in every single city and every county throughout the country and the world. This is another document that we found, and this was out of Israel. This is a Goldman Sachs document.
Those in California are definitely 100% man-made. I've got some great video that actually shows a laser. You'll see a laser from a helicopter.
And it successfully shot down all 5 of the drones. This is huge news because it means that in a realistic, practical setting, it could be very promising. So it could be ready in the field quite soon. So when you see the movies, and you look at comic books or television shows, when you see the laser weapons, they tend to be a color, right? Red or green or something like that. Real lasers, one of the key advantages that they provide is that they are invisible. You actually can't see them. You just see this damage suddenly starting to blow something up. So if we take a look now at what the Athena did to a truck. So we're looking at a truck engine, and the Athena within seconds was able to beam right in there, heat the whole thing up, and burn through the engine of this vehicle. So imagine if you were in that vehicle, all of a sudden, this hole would start appearing in your engine, and the whole thing would just disappear.
Those who live in the Willow Creek Ranch estates were allowed back today, and while no homes were destroyed, there were some buildings and vehicles that work, so it is affecting things there.
We're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right, lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. know, however, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing. Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo-jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain?
Vegetation and plant life and eucalyptus trees.
The holes that were burned through the hoods of cars all the way through the engine block are a little bit suspicious.
Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And then how do you feel about learning that the Planning and Zoning Commission is having the exact same footprints nearly as these fires were, and that now they're declaring some of these areas from a previous fire that could be deemed a fire severe zone, and maybe they shouldn't be rebuilt now? Have you any comment on that? And have you talked to other firemen as well about this? Are they on the same page as you, or are they even questioning this, or what are they thinking?
Yes, two others I've talked with directly about it, and we're all in agreement.
That something very strange, very unique and new has happened. Right. And have you been to tour the areas? Have you looked around at some of the areas? What do you just conjecture? What do you think these firemen who are looking at these fires they've never seen before and talking among themselves, how do you think are they talking about it? What do you think they're in number 6 that came up in their whole journey through it? They were totally astounded where they couldn't even set up a base station to start fighting from because everything was on fire. We have 100,000 square foot Kmart completely torched by 3 a.m. in the morning, where these fires leapt across 8 lanes of road and torched the Kmart on the other side of the road. What kind of fire does that?
A fully sprinklered building.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is California has one of the highest sprinkler laws in the country.
Not natural phenomena, unnatural phenomena. Like I said, I've never seen anything like it.
It's been taken off the internet. It's a suburban neighborhood believed to be near the Carr Fire, that's C-A-R-R, which is near Redding, California. Now, we're talking about fires. Irregular, unpredictable, raging forces of nature. Okay? Now, when the forest fire comes to a suburban development, we're going to take a look at how this particular forest fire, this force of nature, decided to burn when it got to the suburban development. Now let's drift the camera a little bit to the left. Now this forest fire, when it got to this suburban tract, decided that the houses were more important to burn than the trees. And we're going to drift down a little bit here, speaking of trees. Now, to the left of this group of trees or bushes, you see the shell of a burned out car. Now, the energy that it takes to blast all of the glass out of the car, to burn all the rubber tires off the car, that's pretty intense energy. So in that spot, there was an amazing amount of energy and heat being expended.
We have burned down, like the one in back of me here. It's been burning all night, and you can see there's not much left, a lot of flames still going, and some blue flames that you see there, meaning that the gas is still on. I'm going to ask my photographer, Joe Ruiz, to come with me down the road here. This is a road behind me. It's pretty dark, but further down there are other homes still on fire. But right here you can see that this is another challenge. Power lines that are down across the streets. We're told these have been de-energized. Of course, we're not going to take a chance of getting too close. Joe, I'm going to ask you to now pan over to this house across the street. Another home that has pretty much burned to the ground. Joe, if you can pan to the car in the driveway, at least the shell of the car that's left. Take a look at that. Beyond that, I think that was the garage. It's gone. To the right, you see a chimney
that is left standing, and behind that, some sort of outhouse that is still burning.
Every so often you hear like this thudding sound coming through because the air is pushing through. Am I right in that? On here because there's a hole that's punched in that roof. Every so often so that we can have this in the back view. Talk to me about what's going on here because there's a hole that's punched in that roof. Every so often you hear like this thudding sound coming through because the air is pushing through. Am I right in that?
That's correct. So what we have is we have an attic fire here. The ember cast has gotten into the attic, probably through the outside vent, and it's casting, as you can see, it's starting to burn very rapidly. And so what we're trying to do now is save this home in front of it from catching on fire from the ember cast that's coming out from that, or the fire that's coming out from that home.
Is it fair for me to ask you what the strategy is at this point?
Right now we're in full defensive mode. Right, I'm moving closer.
Don't get too close, Ken. Don't get too close. I can't get in there, it's too hot. I'm sorry, I don't have anything about range and rough. This is... What was that? That looks like a gas. Hey, Ken, that's a gas line. Was that a gas line or something?
No, that's horrible.
No. I heard a hissing.
Yeah, do that. That's a propane thing.
All right, be safe, Ken.
Materials that are vaporizing and combusting, gas lines, different materials they may store in the structure, and obviously some explosions occurring as well.
Are we in danger right here? Do we need to start thinking about moving back based on this?
Good time to end the interview and step back for a second.
Okay, so guys, sorry about that.
On my shop, I saw my truck was already fired, and fire was not coming even close to the building yet. Drove by around my shop, I saw my truck was already fired, and fire was not coming even close to the building yet.
When the fire approached his home, he panicked and ran to a nearby creek.
So you felt like this was going to be the safest spot?
At the moment I did, it was one of the stupidest things I've ever done. Water right here, laying flat in this water.
Did you think you were going to die?
Of course. And then after literally about 35 or 40 seconds of extreme intense heat, it started to subside, and I could hear the windstorm of fire like a train. It went past, and then it was just like crackling and burning. And I looked around me, and everything here was burning.
Armbruster's home was spared, and he knows how lucky he really was to survive.
No.
Nearby in Malibu, Alex Orbison also nervously stomped out hot spots. He saw the original fire headed toward his home, but stayed behind.
The flames were like 50 feet tall, and you could see them from the street behind us.
Are you nervous?
Well, I'm worried about my property, and I'm more worried about my neighbors.
There has been constant reason to worry over the last week. Linda and Johnny Castellano's home in Oak Park received minor damage when the wildfire raced through on Thursday. It burned a second time over the weekend. Their home now, a total loss. Second time over the weekend. There's been constant reason to worry over the last week. Linda and Johnny Castellano's home in Oak Park received minor damage when the wildfire raced through on Thursday. It burned a second time over the weekend. Their home now, a total loss.
They were able to get out safely. They got their
out
pets.
safely. Everybody.
Did they get the things that were important to them?
Yes, as far as I know. Yes, yes, yes. We have been prepared for about a day and a half. I got a call from a friend of mine who's a Ventura County firefighter, and he told me when it started in Bell Canyon. So we've been ready.
I was up here just an hour ago, and this was fine.
No, right. Tell my mom that.
It was fine.
Beautiful blue skies.
Exactly. There was nothing. We drove your entire neighborhood just to check and make sure you guys were okay.
Us too. And we've never been through this, not in 20 years.
It's the wind.
I don't know what it is.
It's the wind is the enemy of the firefighters.
Original owner in that house also, and it looks like it's been spared. I am so thankful.
You know, these fires just jumped the homes, and we're starting to see your other neighbor's house, or what's already caught on fire in the back. I can see that.
Which one? This one?
Yes, right here. The one that the facade is still standing here in the front. Just if you're the one that the facade is still standing here in the front. See that?
Which one? This one?
Yes, right here. The one that the facade